Have you ever seen a public figure having an emotional breakdown online, like just fully having an outburst in front of their sometimes tens of thousands of followers? If you have, you know it's a very weird experience. Because when your friend is going through something sad and they tweet about being depressed or maybe post an Instagram story about how they're feeling, the go-to response is to respond or reply, offering your support, being kind and, letting them know that you're there for them. That's a nice and kind way to respond to that. But sometimes you come across a post from a friend of a friend or someone a little bit removed from you talking about them being sad, and that impulse to check in and respond is still there, but it's a little different now. You're not as involved with them, or maybe you don't even know each other that well, so you hesitate a little and maybe keep some distance instead of just pouring out support. And to take it further, if this is someone you follow for their work, maybe they're a streamer, a YouTuber, a TikToker, even an actor, if they're posting about being sad, what are you going to do? Reply to it and with all the other comments just saying the same thing, or DM them and just hope that they see it? And maybe they're not even being sad, maybe they're acting out. And in that case, do you even feel like anything you do could reach them? It might feel like they're beyond that. Yep, we're talking about online mental health today, and most importantly, how we can help each other, because we need it. As we all know, our free time is becoming spent more and more online. Your daily screen time on your phone is probably longer than most movies are, the ones you don't have an attention span to watch any longer. That's not an attack, it is a self-roast. I hate myself. It's not all our fault that we're all online. The cities aren't very walkable, it's hot, everything's expensive, there's multiple diseases that nobody's cured. The world that older generations are leaving us, the ones who tell us to go outside, is crumbling, and it feels beyond repair sometimes. But TikTok will show you a different distraction from that every time you scroll. Isn't that neat? My brain isn't even thinking about the despair. This means that the way we communicate, how we reach out to and effectively connect with other humans is going to have to adapt to be online sometimes. And yeah, connecting with others through only your phone already kind of dampens the capacity to connect, but when you add emotions, something as complicated as emotions becomes a whole new mess. Specifically with digital creators, they are told constantly by algorithms to share and post all the time. If you have a thought, share it. You have to be relevant. You haven't uploaded in a week, your views are going to go down. You gotta post everything. So you have all these people looking for entertainment online, and then you have creators who just want their work to be shared, but are pressured into ending up sharing more of themselves than they need. And when these figures end up publishing sometimes intense emotions, it is interesting to see how their audiences respond. YouTube, which is so accessible that people can end up sharing basically anything they want, knows this better than anything else. Emotional breakup videos with teary-eyed thumbnails always get millions of views. We saw the rise of vlogs and personality-driven content explode as a genre since people felt connected to these creators being authentic to them. We even saw emotional becoming a title hack to let people know when a video tapped into this. And though it's more of a meme now, it sure did work back then. It's a pretty reliable pattern that generally audiences are going to want to engage with something that is emotional or authentic instead of something that feels overproduced or corporate. But unfortunately, the fact that people are drawn to emotions is something that can be hijacked and used to further a career, which is just awesome. This is when we see creators like Trisha or Nikocado Avocado make entire careers out of these emotional outbursts, and every other video is a meltdown of them sobbing. People will regularly tune in to watch them crying on the floor or throwing exaggerated tantrums, which will make them millions of dollars, and you will see them act again on it. Not to be an armchair therapist or couch, but I would be willing to venture that a lot of these people's audiences aren't really concerned about their well-being. At least they're not concerned to the same level they would be if, say, their friend was doing this. If you saw that your friend uploaded a video of themselves having a tantrum like this, you would probably try to intervene and connect with them, not like the video or subscribe and wait for the next one. Probably not. And again, there is something innately human about being drawn to these emotions. It might start initially as some level of concern, but it's clear that a lot of these people view this as entertainment and want to tune into these meltdowns as if it's some kind of spectacle. A recent and weird example is the influencer Addison Rae's dad. This story is really stupid, so I'm going to cruise through it. There is a rapper named Young Gravy who has a running joke with his fans that his thing is being into older women or MILFs. Addison Rae is one of those influencers who gets so famous that their family becomes celebrities by association. So when her dad was having a fling with women her age, when he and her mom had a very messy breakup, it was very publicized. Young Gravy publicly flirts with Addison's newly single mom, and she kind of jokes back with the same energy. Then, naturally, Addison Rae's dad posts a video challenging the rapper to a boxing match where he takes his shirt off and screams. I wish I could show it to you, but apparently he's copyright claiming any video that shows it, so I can't actually show you that video. Instead, I'll just, watch something for my own entertainment over here without purpose to redistribute. All of these examples are prime situations where somebody is having an emotional outburst online, publicly choosing to share it, and drawing in lots of attention because of it. You can't blame people for wanting to tune in because, of course, we're drawn to emotions, but more than that, these are interesting spectacles that you do not usually see. And yeah, some of them could be exaggerated or even fake, but the effect they have is still the same. But I do have something to admit to you. Though these examples do help illustrate my point, it's not really the thing that I'm making this video about. These people aren't exactly on my mind right now. They're not a driving force for me to sit down and talk to you about this. There's something else going on that is a lot more pressing and worrying that I think we can finally talk about. Let me preface this entire section by saying that the person we are going to be discussing at the time of me recording this has said that they are fine, they are not in any danger, and that a majority of their performance is an act. We do only have their word to go on, and this situation is still ongoing, but because of that, I think we need to address how people are responding to this because it's happening in real time. Additionally, because I don't want this video to attract the wrong crowd, I am going to be not using this person's name or referencing who they are directly. You either already know who it is, or I'll just give you all of the relevant details. People in the comments will probably say her name, so if you're desperate to know, you can just scroll down. Over the past week, a public figure who is known for acting erratically in order to draw in attention began posting a lot of very vague and cryptic TikToks throughout multiple days that showed very worrying behavior. There were words written on her mirror in lipstick. The captions had weird symbols in them. She was posting every 2 minutes. And a lot of these videos repeated the idea that she had died, gone to heaven, and had been sent back to save us, and was tied to this big religious plan. Naturally, people began alerting others that this was happening, and people swarmed over to her account, and they were constantly refreshing and commenting in order to keep up with whatever she was going to say next. This happened for 3 or 4 days with very little breaks. She didn't appear to be sleeping or eating, just constantly talking into the phone about how she was going to save our souls with art, or how she was sent by God, or worrying stuff, to say the least. As soon as I found out about this, I knew that people were going to be a little apathetic in their response because, again, this person is kind of known for causing drama or acting alarming online in order to promote their own material. So I figured people would be coming in not really believing that this was a real thing, a little bit of a boy who cried wolf situation. And even though I've fallen for this exact thing from this exact person before, I still saw signs that warranted me being worried. Between the overexcited, fast talking, the scattered living space, and the delusions of grandeur, let alone that she was posting through the night, it was pretty clear that these were symptoms of mania, and if you have seen them before, you can recognize them pretty easily. Influencers are taught and essentially trained to share and overshare, to post everything. The fact that this person had built up an audience who were ready to listen to anything at any moment, and then she enters this headspace where she feels like she's discovered something and she's excited to share it. It's this uniquely troubling thing that obviously is not going to end well. And to be fair, there were people in the replies and the comment section who knew that this wasn't a laughing matter, but they also didn't help. Most of the videos, even the ones late at night, had hundreds of comments of people urging this person to talk to a friend or like call a professional or like, we love you, heart emoji. And I don't know, I think because this person was posting so much, it's a safe bet to say that she wasn't reading these comments. She was just not in that headspace. As for the others, as you might expect, a lot of the comments were distant or making light of the situation. Stuff that you really wouldn't want to send to someone who was having a mental breakdown. There was a lot of like memes about it on Twitter. There were people in the comment section at night saying that they were taking the night shift to keep everyone else updated. And, you know, there were people who were accusing her of just drug use. It has to be fueled by snow, meaning cocaine. No one can convince me otherwise. This became such an event, such like a moment, that someone tracked down this person's house and knocked on the door and asked if he could use her bathroom. And because she was still in a state of mania, she believed that God had sent him to her, and she let him into her house. Once he was inside, he began taking pictures of her home or live streaming. And because she was documenting everything, people saw this happen and tried to alert her that there was someone in her home. It's not hyperbolic to say that this was a home invasion. Like, he entered her home under false pretenses. That's a crime. When eventually she caught him and kicked him out, he just went to his car just down the block and kept live streaming. People were following him in order to stay updated. He has like 20,000 followers last time I checked. I don't want to check again because the whole thing makes me sad, but it's undoubtedly gone up. That's just not a very human way to treat someone. Like, even if they're a public figure, if they're in crisis mode and they're acting worrying, you don't go to their house. You don't take pictures of their living space behind their back. That's not helpful, and there's no way to defend it. Other viewers kept calling the LA Police Department in order to place a wellness check on this person, but when the cops showed up, they couldn't do anything because if this person wasn't posing a harm to themselves and they say they're fine, the police can't actually do anything, so they had to leave. But then another viewer would see it and think they should call a wellness check. And then another viewer would see it and think that nobody else had called a wellness check, so they did. So much so that when this person regained more composure, they posted about how they got a fine from the LAPD for an excessive amount of 911 calls, ones that she wasn't even placing. So, great work, cops. You really knocked it out of the park with this one. The police are not a mental health resource that approaches everyone equally. When police are called for wellness checks, people of color, and specifically Black people, are often approached with violence and brutality. We need better mental health support besides involving the policing system, and relying on the state to do wellness checks won't help as much as building community supports and being a resource to your neighbors. As I said, this person is now a little bit clearer and is saying that a lot of that performance was meant to embellish their art, but they're not backing down from anything they've said, and they're still posting really often, so it's kind of up for interpretation, sadly. And as long as they keep posting about how they're directly linked to God, those comments and reactions are still going to be rolling in. And I think that's kind of the problem area right now. To me, this is a very clear example of people not responding appropriately to when someone is acting out online. Like, this person was in an altered headspace, yes, and the app gave them an outlet, yes, they bear the responsibility for that. But the fact that people were treating this as a live event, spreading the news around and like inviting people to come check it out, that's a problem. Treating this as like a spectacle, that is not okay under any circumstance. I mean, put yourself in this situation. If it was someone you loved who was posting erratically or showing signs of mania online, you wouldn't leave a comment accusing them of drug abuse, and you wouldn't like the video. These videos had tons of likes, by the way. I know that influencers aren't your friends and you don't even have to like all of them, but that doesn't mean that they're not humans and you can't treat them with basic empathy. You don't have to swing all the way in the other direction and actively make fun of them or treat it like a performance. There is a collective understanding that most, if not all, of like Trisha Paytas and Nicocado's outbursts are acts in order to further their careers. And with Addison Rae's dad, I mean, he's clearly going through like a midlife crisis and publicly challenging people to fight. Like, he's going through something, whatever it is. With this, right? Someone posting through the night, not eating or sleeping, talking about God, showing signs of mania, that needs to be taken seriously. And I think a lot of people were responding to it as if it were another one of those performances by an influencer acting out for attention, when you need to engage with this critically and see that these are real warning signs. And even if for some reason it is 100% fake, it doesn't matter. It needs to be treated seriously, just on the off chance that it's real. I don't think I need to say this, but this story could have ended tragically. Like, this person is talking an awful lot about rebirth. They might not think that there's any grave consequences that they could endure. This had the potential to have a horrifying conclusion, and I really do think that people forgot or didn't consider that, because maybe if they did, they wouldn't have been commenting, "Who else is here refreshing?" in the comments. And you might be responding to this by saying, "Duncan, what are we supposed to do?" Like, it's an ongoing big story. Of course people are going to talk about it, and it's a public app, and she's voluntarily posting things. Nobody's forcing her. And if she's going to say that this is all part of some performance, then what is the problem with us reacting to it like it is? I'm going to say some things that might come across as me being heartless, but please don't assume that I'm trying to be cruel. I really don't want to be a dick. I'd hope you'd know that about me by this point in the video. When it comes down to having online discussions about mental health, I think influencers and public figures need to be a part of those discussions. But they can't be the only thing that it revolves around, because there are more general users than there are influencers, right? If you tweet about mental health, more regular people are going to see it than celebrities will. In regards to that situation I was describing previously, I think a lot of people just didn't really know how to react when they saw her behaving manically. The conversations around mental health are really aimed at anxiety and depression because they're a lot more common and, frankly, easier to talk about than some others. But mania, psychosis, bipolar disorder, or anything that would make someone act out and could be confusing or startling to someone not expecting it, that can be kind of hard to talk about, so a lot of people don't. And if there is something good that can come out of all of this, I hope it's people understanding the signs and maybe putting some effort into knowing how to respond when they see someone exhibiting those symptoms. This is a hard thing to say, and it's a hard thing to really wrap your head around, but you cannot help public figures who are having a meltdown. You can't get around that. They need to be willing to seek help, and the people who are most able to help them are the people in their inner circle, the people in their real lives, not a member of their audience. I get why they did it, but calling in multiple wellness checks on somebody is not going to help them. And leaving comments on videos that you know are being posted every 2 minutes with "feel better bestie" heart emoji probably isn't the nice gesture you think it is. And I know that's hard because, right, it's human to zero in on these outbursts, and if it was your friend, you'd help them. So you want to help people who are suffering or in pain. That makes sense to me. I get that. There is a reason why this video started with me talking about a hypothetical friend of yours who is struggling online, and that's because it's probably pretty likely that you found it relatable. We're all online more now during our good days and our bad ones, so you've probably been in that situation where you see someone almost reaching out or asking for help through kind of talking about being sad online. If you post about a celebrity and their mental breakdown online, your followers will see it, and your friends will see it, and they might take away from that displaying emotions, no matter how extreme, is laughable or cringy. and they might internalize that and bottle up their feelings next time, not ask for help, even if they need it. You can try and tell me that I'm looking too much into this or that it's not that deep, but we are clearly not equipped to talk about the full extent of mental health online, and maybe this is part of that. We need to be prepared and know how to effectively respond to these things when they happen, just as they would in our real lives. And I do think this also applies to those smaller examples like Trisha or Nico. If you find it funny, you can laugh, but maybe don't publicize it. And if you want to talk about their behavior critically, do it with empathy. Talk about it as if they were in the room with you. The next time that a celebrity is having a mental health crisis, one that you instantly register as extreme, don't like the videos, don't share it, don't even text your friends to go check it out, because the way algorithms work is that those videos will then get projected on. So engaging with it at all is kind of assisting the problem. It's good that you might have the impulse or urge to connect with them and show support, be kind, but you really have to let someone's inner circle take care of them, and you don't want to engage in it and make things worse in the meantime. And to be clear, if a public figure is simply tweeting about feeling down or sad, there's nothing wrong with showing support by leaving a nice reply. The issue is more so within engaging with erratic behavior when it's best to not involve yourself. Mental health is hard enough to work on when it's your own. I get it. The idea of having to also take on the responsibility of treating someone else's mental health, it almost sounds like it's too much. But you know it's important. Other people's mental health is important. And sometimes the important things take effort to do, no matter how hard they seem. And if you're feeling down or in a helpless place yourself, maybe reconsider posting about it on anywhere that's too public. It's always smart to use resources like a professional therapist or a parent, or if you're looking for a certain friend to check in on you, text them first and ask if it's okay if you can talk to them about this. I just think that personal responses are always going to be much better than fishing for general ones. Or if you feel like you also need to have some kind of emotional outburst, try to do something mitigated and safe. Like, for example, get a nose piercing. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a ring eventually, but for now, that is definitely a stud that's going to be there for a few months. Yeah, so prioritize your mental health, kids. Good night. Just like that, the video's done. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you sticking along with me. Mental health is not a very easy subject to approach, and I did my best, but if you have anything to add or think I might have misstepped somewhere in the video, feel free to correct me or just add your own thoughts in the comments. I'll do my best to read as much of them as I can and respond to you guys. Who would I be without my patrons who are scrolling by here? Thank you guys so much for the additional support. I love you guys. I'm sending you a forehead kiss, if you want one. Of course, my Patreon link is in my description if you'd like, but otherwise, just liking the video would do me a huge solid? Do me a solid. I haven't seen a human in a while. I forgot how to talk. Summer is going to be wrapping up in these next few weeks, so take advantage of it and see your friends, do something fun outside. I will not be because the heat has left me inside, which is partly why I talked about mental health today, because I am way too familiar with these pale eggshell colored walls. But getting to make these videos is such a privilege, and it's a great outlet, so I'm doing okay, and thank you guys for participating in that system. Ew, sappy, shut up, Duncan. Alright, I'm talking too long. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, love you lots. Bye.